Oh, man, what a series. What a series. What a series. And by that, I, of course, mean Major League Cricket. What an unbelievable couple of weeks that was for cricket. Who is happy? Who messed it up? Who won it? Who lost it? Did they do it against our boys? It was a summer of spirit. It was a summer of morality, tribalism, and online discourse. Not to be confused with discourse. More on that later. We're talking West Indies, India as well, and of course a little bit of Major League Cricket before we obviously preview the enormous tournament, the 100. It's all about the Ashes today. This is minutes. No, it's not. It's actually quite a few minutes after England level the series 2-2 at the Oval. That's before going into hashtag ASKTGC, where it's another example of cricket getting in the way of a date. This episode is brought to you by Budgy Smuggler. Now, Budgy Smuggler are searching for the final 4 contestants to compete in the final of World's Most Ordinary Rig, which is in Australia this November. More on that later. Just a shout out before we get into the show proper and the Visceral Minutes to the people that have been charging this show.
Yeah.
Supercharging this show, our dear patrons, patreon.com/Grade Cricketer. This will be the last podcast episode for a hot minute, but not on Patreon. Patreon, which we're plowing on through every single week. Every single Friday, you get hashtag AskTGC Fridays. And you know what? There's more cricket to come this year, Pezza. There's more cricket to come. You know what? There's a small matter of a World Cup in India. There's obviously India-England test matches beginning of next year. What about the Australian summer? Hey, what about the T20 World Cup next year in the Caribbean and Flow Rider in the US? All the dailies for that. So much more on Patreon. If you want to get behind TGC and support TGC, patreon.com/Grade Cricketer.
Nice one, he goes. Yeah, big show coming up. One big lift for you and I on this last here podcast for the Ashes summer.
Do you want to say that we haven't been to bed yet? So it's currently, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday. We've not been to bed since Sunday. We've stayed up all night. We obviously had commitments for the BBC and then our own YouTube commitments. And we're on today's show again this morning into this here program.
Yep.
We haven't been to bed yet. So there's going to be a few sort of... some visceral feelings, of course, as is our way on the show. Pure emotion. We're running off fumes, but as all the players are as well. And I feel like the fans, which is, exhibited by the online discourse, generally speaking.
We owe it to the fans to give them a show where we will be searching for words and that can lead to libelous comments and regrettable comments. But as our brand has developed, I get the impression that people like that. People like that. But anyway, if we go to court, then so be it. Just quickly, he goes, before we get into the show proper, last week made a comment about TGC exploring new levels. Supercharge was the word that was used. Thank you to everybody who got in touch last week, issuing the call again. So had heaps of interesting conversations with people, have some interesting meetings with people lined up around partnerships, people who have kind of high-level production skills, business development skills as well, maybe, do we need a daddy? It's a question mark. Can anyone help around, commercializing some shit? Yeah, commercial management skills, investors. Not saying it's happening, it's an exploration. Lots of things on the table for us. Great to canvass the thoughts of people who've made TGC what it is. That's why we're saying it on the pod. For anyone in these areas who thinks they can help or wants to get in touch, just to say hi and pretend they can help and just meet us. Please don't do that. Best place is, as a new email address, hello@gradecricketer.com. hello@gradecricketer.com. Partnerships, commercial management, production, investing. Let's talk.
You know what we do here though, Pezza? We have beers with the opposition. You know what? If Taylor Lenders were here right now, we'd be having beers. I promise you that. Should we get into the viscerals?
Let's go. Fuck. Get ready.
Here we go.
You haven't heard this yet.
Fuck all. You haven't won fuck all. You haven't won fuck all. You haven't won fuck all. 2.92. Fuck all.
Radio station.
Oh, fucking England, you've ruined my life. Broady hits a 6 off his last ball, gets a wicket, wins the Ashes, and gets the Rooters hot misses. My wife hasn't had sex with me in over 6 months.
2-0, and you fucked it up. Solar panel pack couldn't go better than Tim Payne. Stop throwing away 2-0 lead, you dumb cunt.
I'd like to see him do it against our boys. You've fucking seen it. 2.92. Fuck off.
We know what we are. We know what we are. Saviours of cricket. We know what we are.
Wow.
Pack 'em, lads.
No irony, is there?
Yeah, look, 2-2 I think was fair. Fuck off, honestly. You had to rely on that fucking stupid northern town pissing it down.
Angry.
2.92, fuck off.
Yeah, aggressive.
Ooh, one of you test at home, did ya? Ooh, got a new ball, did ya?
Try win some fucking tests over here, you weak cunts.
5-0
in 2025, fuck off.
Probably.
Okay.
Solar panel pack can suck my nuts. North Sea oil, here we come, baby.
Take your woke socialist captain Karen Cummings and fuck off. Bazball's better than Casball.
Did those feet in ancient time walk upon?
If Bazball is a cult, is this the point at which we all commit suicide and McCullum runs off with all our money?
Get absolutely fucked.
Fucking penguins. Cheating. Fucking penguins.
Nothing's self-effacing yet.
Yeah, the Joker.
How long from the plane touching down in Australia to Cummins being behind bars for life?
Stuart fucking Broad, causing you fucking convicts headaches and fucking crow's feet for one last
Jesus,
fucking
angry.
night.
A lot of anger.
You fucking convict.
Convict stuff.
Yeah.
This week I learned that aliens exist. It's possible to make a room temperature superconductor, and you can do cock tricks with bales to win cricket games.
All that moral superiority about how Bazball isn't Test cricket, about how you're gonna do it the right way, including running out players after the over's finished.
Sean Connery's back.
It was a joy to see Moyne and Wooksy and Broady stuff that stump right up your posterior. 2-2, and you're lucky it was 2-2. Fuck off.
I'm going to say a score followed by the words fuck off, including decimal points. Because I'm a virgin, I've never known the touch of a human.
That was the cross section put together. That was probably 200 or so that came in. That was just a general cross section of the sentiment. He goes
Right, so it was a draw. It was a drawn series in the end. Yeah, drawn series. Yeah. A lot of feedback from the home side there for the drawn series.
Yeah.
Haven't won the thing in 10 years. Pez, I was just thinking about, it's fine. You know, I like people's visceral feelings about that because what is sport without emotion, generally speaking? So I appreciate the people that have taken the time to give us what sounds like basically an FM radio station, 2.92. Fuck off.
Yeah, I keep thinking that. I keep thinking
Dutch?
of the number 2.92.
Yeah.
And then like people are just saying that. Fuck off.
Yeah.
That's like the average number of sexual partners, I think.
I was just thinking, generally speaking, about how close the series was.
Okay.
So Australia won the first game by 2 wickets.
Yep.
England won the third game by 3 wickets. Australia won the second game by 43 runs. England won the fifth game by 49 runs. England lose their spinner, Leach, before the series. Australia lose Lyon after, 1.5 games. Bairstow misses costly chances. Carey drops a big one in the last game, which turned out to be very costly. Bairstow tries to stump Marnus. Carey does stump Bairstow. Luck with the weather for Australia in Manchester. Luck with the ball for England last night in London. 4 tosses for Stokes. Cummins finally wins one, then loses the game. No batter from either side saw more than 100. Crawley absolutely smoked them at the top. Khawaja basically scores the same amount of runs, more or less, slightly more, inching them for Australia. Australia's tail win a game at Edgbaston. England's tail win a game at Headingley. Stark's grounded catch at Lords. Stokes' Herschel catch at the Oval. There were just so many, what goes around comes around, ball don't lie moments sort of thing where see, this has happened to you guys. Now you guys are cheating. It's 15 seconds later, almost the exact same thing happens to the other side. And so it was just the nature of what is ultimately a wonderful, brilliant series that isn't saving anything because guess what? the real stuff now starts, and by that I mean the stuff that will live on forever and is actually funding the game, generally speaking. This series means fuck all.
It doesn't mean fuck all.
They like singing.
Yeah, that's right.
So, you know, but look, ultimately, what a fucking great series, and one that and you and I both have invested heavily in, to the point where we haven't slept now in 48 hours. And I'm broken.
Yeah, but it's not finished, he goes. Like now, I'm getting pictures from the press who are taking pictures across the oval of the only lights on across the ground, trying to figure out whether the Aussies dogged the English for the beers or the English dogged the Aussies for the beers.
Right.
So the online war goes on. That's the real war.
That's the real war.
Are we seriously going to sit here in our studio and practice some kind of radical gratitude for what's happened? Are we going to do that? Is that what the punters want these days in the online discourse? Like, do they want us to sit here and go 2-2? Yeah, what goes around comes around. Yeah, interesting ideological battle between the ways to play cricket. Yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Oh, I think there might be something in this in the future for baseball. Oh yeah, Australia behaved well, didn't they? Oh yeah, but I mean Stokes is doing something bigger.
Why didn't they want to have beers with us? Just come and have a beer with us in the dressing room.
Which country is better? Which country has more demons sitting under it? You know? Which country's more broken? They're the real questions that need to be answered. The cricket is just the gateway, isn't it, for the online discourse to take over.
Broken Britain or Sonia Kruger wins the gold Logie.
That's right. Or the lucky country. Devastating read. Devastating. 1967 still holds up. It still holds up. So... You know, are we meant to sit here and kind of defend Australia's corner and whatever? Like, do you want to say anything about like the best I can say is that, you know, from time to time I got some crow's feet at some English triumphalism shit, you know?
Yeah.
But it's just it's just a sociological phenomenon, isn't it? Like if you've won 2 test matches and you're a bee's dick from a third, as both teams could claim to be, naturally, if you're from that country, you're going to be like, if only 1 or 2 things happened, then we could have got that thing. Yeah.
Because everything else stays the same. Butterfly effect does not exist.
Exactly. And so you're going to go, it could have turned on this. I'm really open. I'm really aware of this injustice that happened to my country. And when it happens against the opposition, that's just luck and part of the game.
Of course, yeah.
And so it goes on and on.
If someone at the hotel that morning at Lord's had just given Nathan Lyon some potassium, his calf would have been stronger. He wouldn't have tensed up, you know. Where was Peter Siddle with a banana, you know?
Yeah.
Had he leaned against the fence and done that calf stretch 55 to 65 minutes before play that we all do, whilst just talking about sex stories from the night before, if that had happened, Australia, unbeatable.
Exactly.
It was one thing.
Yeah.
Of course, over the course of basically every single day, it was about 17 different things where had they changed and be like, oh, no, that was the thing. But we can all just live and die on one thing. No, the other team are cheats. They cheated. We were cheated out of perfection, happiness, raw happiness.
And you think maybe that is actually the truth? Like the truth of cricket is, because this whole series was called earlier on, like the referendum on the truths of the game.
I've heard that before.
But the truth of the game isn't, you know, should we be aggressive and revolutionary and, you know, like psychologically dominate the opposition at all costs and all times as Bazball wants to do, nor should it be like, you know, disciplined pragmatism and, you know, take your chances and don't make an error. You know, the truth is that it doesn't matter what happens to you, cricket will cause you pain, and at the end of the day, you can blame everybody else except you. That is the truth.
Right.
That is
That's
honestly
right.
like the grade cricket philosophy really has won the day.
Yeah.
Like that, you know how philosophers...
Yeah, it really did.
Philosophers for time immemorial have competed and posed the questions of what is the state of nature? You know, is it nasty, brutish and short? Do we need government? Are whites the superior... This is things that have happened.
Right, okay.
Right. And cricket's no different, you know. Should we be aggressive? Should we play in the spirit? But I think the grade cricket philosophy is really the winner.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, blame the opposition, and if you fail with that, blame the fucking Penguins or the weather.
I can't believe how this entire series has boiled down to that suburban district's Mancat in Melbourne, where it's all just very simple chalk, and then also very rich from a team that brings its own beers. It's actually amazing. It's amazing. They didn't even drink with us. What a bunch of coats.
It's like The Simpsons predicted it, but club cricket predicted
cricket.
And also Vish as well, I saw. I don't know if you saw that.
Actually, perfectly. Yeah. It'll be 2-2. Raymond Manchester because it's Manchester.
That's right.
Yeah. Fuck, amazing from Vish.
Yeah. But, so once again, club cricket wins. And I'm kind of like, I don't want to...
Club cricket's never won.
Don't want to... sorry. Win is we all lose from all. We are all diminished by the Ashes. Make no mistake. Both teams are diminishing themselves right now. Right. With alcohol.
Yeah.
And also working out who was the biggest cunt after the game.
That's right.
But is that great? Is that greatness? Is that really cricket being what it should be? Like everyone at the international level, particularly Australia and England, are going to spend the next week, couple of months talking up what a fantastic series that was. If by fantastic we mean full of shithousery and grade cricket philosophy.
Yeah. Well, in which case then, it was the perfect series.
It was a fucking great series.
It was a perfect summer, and it's over by August. And so, school holidays around the corner, I think. So it actually is the perfect summer. And we're sort of getting into this question now, Pez, of who is happy, because England's ostensibly seem really happy, but Australia's like, why are you happy? You didn't win. You didn't even win a home Ashes.
Yeah.
Now, I do understand this more about the open top buses and the the MBEs handing out in 2005 when you just win a home Ashes. And so, like, for me, like, I don't want to delve into online discourse too much, but I do feel deeply relieved that England haven't won, because it just feels like, just even look at the fucking anger from the Visceral Minutes there. People are so angry and fired up, which is, I think, what...
about Australia fucking it up.
Yeah.
Like that.
But England fucked it up at the start.
Yeah, but that's not how they see life. Like there's still echoes of history in the approach to cricket, I think, from both nations. And they both it kind of reveals a grimness from both sides. England are, at least performatively, like, cock-a-hoop to deny Australia the victory. It's like, you can't win it. You've won it, like, for 20 years.
Yeah.
Why are you still giddy about denying us a win when you've cooked your own home tracks? That's bizarre. I can't imagine triumphalism like that in Australia if we kind of iced a series to make it 2-2 to draw it. I can't. But by the same token, in Australia, we are completely incapable of respecting or praising an effort that is anything but the greatest pummeling you've ever seen.
That is true. And to that point, speaking of greatest pummelings of all time, so I think what hurts Australia the most is that despite Australia will now have held the Ashes for 10 years by the time England get their next chance to get their mitts on it in 2025 out here, England are still the most recent team to win away. Now, they haven't won a game in 12 years in Australia. That'll be 14 by the time they come back. But in 2010-11, when they beat us 3-1, that was one of the biggest drubbings that the Ashes will ever see again, I'm sure. And it just goes to show, like, how hard it is to win away. Because I was just thinking about, like, from an Australian perspective, where I just want perfection all the time from my team.
Chris Tremlett comes out very well from these Ashes.
Didn't he look fantastic?
He looked fantastic, and he was part of that Ashes side.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, you look at England in this series right now, they lost their spinner before the series started. Huge. They lost their number 3 for the last couple of games, Ollie Pope. They brought a guy into the side that hadn't bowled with a red ball in 4 years. Their all-rounder and captain couldn't bowl. Their best ever bowler averaged 90 with the ball for the series, took 4 wickets. Their keeper dropped a stack of chances.
Well, he's on one leg.
And Australia still weren't able to win, And so you look at England's 2010-11 side. England's batting was Cook, Strauss, Trott, Peterson, Bell. I haven't done the math there in terms of how many test hundreds there are, but I'm going to guess it's over 100 test hundreds in there, or somewhere in that realm, 100 test match hundreds in that batting order. And Australia's bowling at the time was Siddle, Hilfenhaus, Xavier Doherty and Michael Beer shared the spinning duties. Doug Bollinger played, and then Johnson and Harris played a couple of games, obviously, before they really fulfilled their own Ashes destiny later on. But the thing about the pain for Australia is that, like, despite England being so poor out here since that absolute drubbing where they won 3 games by an innings, like absolutely smoked us, and not having a 1 game since then, that's still the most recent away Ashes win, you know? And so it feels like, anyway, like when we go there, more often than not, we give them a game.
Yeah.
You know, it's close.
Yeah. So we're still doing like a bragging rights analysis. Who's got bragging rights?
Except the pain is still there because it's like, no, but we haven't won.
Yeah.
And so many of us, like, you know, as time passes, we remember the good times of the 90s and the 2000s where you win every single toss, every single session, every single game forever.
It doesn't matter. You don't have the rights.
Don't have the rights.
We haven't won the rights.
Haven't got the rights.
The auction.
England got the rights.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it may be also true now that Australia has failed to win the Ashes, that this is, in the history of the Ashes, the longest streak for an away team to have not won the Ashes, 20 plus years.
Is that right?
So England is developing, or has developed, an enviable historic home record.
Would you call it a fortress, Pezza?
Well, not according to England's celebrations upon a 2-2. But I guess it is a fortress. But it doesn't matter. You know, this is narrative and perception usurps what's actually happened. I mean, just on the face of it, like, is it like lies, damned lies and statistics to say Australia comes home with the World Test Championship and the urn? Fail.
Is there context though? Because
but you bottled it. You rattled, and you also were convicts.
Yeah, that is going to be hard to shake for a while.
That is a good riposte.
Yeah, the convict bit is going to be hard. That's a tag. It's going to be hard to shake.
And our captain will again be one. Convict.
He's actually being sent home in black and white stripes, horizontal stripes.
We're going to have to ask him at some point whether he appreciates continually being referred to as someone who will be sent to jail. Because I sort of feel like it's slightly off.
Yeah.
Unlike other stuff we do, which is like sort of right on the money.
That's
you know what I mean?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, especially the nonce stuff.
Yeah.
So like the like successful tour. But there'll be asterisks, there'll be question marks, there'll be political agendas, and that's how Australia does it.
Well, I think because Leeds was genuinely a great game of cricket, right? And England got the job done by 3 wickets there.
So was Lords.
Australia had their chances. Lords is a good game. So was Edgbaston, right? But then Manchester happens where Australia really get away with it, of course, because of the weather. Absolutely pumped in that game, right? And then for the most part, Australia were kind of behind in this game as well, really, up until the point where they're chasing 384 and they're none for 135 or none for 140 by the time Warner gets out to Wokes on day 5, and the ball changing and all that stuff. But it's just like, you get the taste and then it gets taken away from you. And then ultimately Australia lose the game by losing 7 for 70 and falling 49 runs short. And it's like, fuck, it was so close. And it's like, it was so close last time and it had a chance in Headingley as well this time round. So it's like, having sort of lost, it feels like 3 games in a row to lose the Ashes. It's like, it goes beyond the story of just sheer numbers. You know what I mean?
I've just pulled up a quote here that I've always really liked. It's from Malcolm Knox in the Sydney Morning Herald in 2020, so like May 2020. He wrote, "Sports are 2 separate experiences. One is the live drama of the contest as it happens. The other is all the talk that goes on forever after. We live in the moment, but we do more of our living in recollection of the moment." And I feel like this Ashes has really given some truth to that. There's literally the cricket that happened where the numbers go next to the names. The rules are done in a certain way so that both teams have won 2 games and they've done some good stuff and they've done some shit stuff and they've made mistakes and they've taken opportunities. And then you've just got like the narrative overlay to it, which has just got so many layers of like not only kind of rank like superficial tribalism, with a bit of English football overlay and Australian boorishness and cheats and that kind of stuff. But then you've got like the literal history of nations overlay to it as well. And then you've got the kind of freedom that a lot of Aussies feel to really go at the English because a lot of us have English blood. So is it racism? It's almost for some of us, it feels to me, I don't know if this is good or bad, but like the the actual cricket isn't enough. Like it's all of the talk that goes on afterwards that gets a lot of people off so much. And I think for me, like I sort of resist it a little bit now because I'm like, that was a really good series. I think 2-2. Like you don't argue with 2-2. The best team always wins because they find a way to win.
Right.
I respect the rules in that. Like I think Bazball is good. I think that more teams are going to explore it. I think the kinks can be ironed out. The band, that is.
Of course, yeah.
Ray Davies and that.
Naive, yep.
Yeah. And that's the kooks. But
Indeed.
Indeed.
That was a test.
Yeah. Thank you. I passed. And
that was my alarm for a bit. Then I completely ruined the song.
Yeah.
Massive mistake.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Massive mistake.
You start listening to it in that tinny 8-bit thing that you've paid $22 for or something like that on a flip phone.
But it was just like, then I just ruined the enjoyment of the song because obviously a great song. But then like every time you hear the guitar riff, and then it's like now I'm waking up and no one wants to wake up ever.
Yeah,
especially from a daydream like this, like a Midsummer Night's Dream.
Shakespeare wrote that at Point during a first class game. I
remember that now, yeah. I saw that on stage once.
Anyway, while there's so much in the series where it's that Spider-Man meme of both of them pointing at each other, I do think one of the key cultural differences was the answer to that question of who fucked it more and why. Because in Australia, like it's important to get the posture right. Like look at a micro moment in cricket. Like let's talk about grade level. You're in the nets, you mistime a shot, and you yell "fuck" to signal audibly to others that you believe your personal standards are higher
than that,
than the shot. Even though the reality is the failed shot is precisely your level.
Yes.
You're trying to signal to people, I have higher standards than that. Now, as a populace, at a macro level, we're all shouting "fuck" because we want people to believe that our standards are higher than what we achieved. I think Australia did well to get 2-2 in this series against a good England team.
Yeah.
That's what I think, but that is not part of how we like to set ourselves up, like psychologically. And then England, on the other hand, like this is the alternative. Weepy, slushy, mawkish sentiment and triumphalism over a fucking drawn series at home when they normally win. That's how they roll. And it's kind of a compliment to Australia because they still see sometimes Australia as this big, bad, villainous boss.
Yes.
They haven't been that for a really long time.
Right.
But I think they like doing that. That's best encapsulated by clearly the best moment of the series, which is all the talk that happens after. Kevin Peterson filleting and flagellating Joe Root at Edgbaston in the second innings, highlighting the feeling of Joe Root's runs. Mawkishly sentiment, he's all over you. And then Ponting with the Australian cultural reply of just the autistic mathematic reality of it.
Facts of the case.
The facts of the case. And I feel like that captured the key, that was emblematic in the most, what's the word, like microcosm moment of the cultural differences between both countries in this series. And like that innings from Root was good. It was good. But it was error-strewn in the way it got out, and that's why they didn't go all the way. And by the same token, he still fucking dominated Australia for that innings. Peterson was right in a way. Australia had no answers, and they didn't have many answers a lot of the time to Bazball. So I just felt like we could have actually ended the series with that little... I know Ponting dunks on Peterson there, but like I felt like that exchange really summed up how a lot of people wanted to kind of view what happened in this Ashes. Not fully, but I thought it was a nice microcosm.
I think as well that my observation of, football culture in England as well is like no culture celebrates their rival's failure more than the English. They do it so well, because obviously in Premier League terms or, European football terms, basically like one team does something good a year and the rest complete failure.
Oh yeah.
And so, but if your rivals are slightly worse than you, well then they will suck forever basically, right?
You feel worse.
And so like for them to like get the leg up or, do well over Australia, they're fiercest, strongest rivals in this otherwise civilized sport, which England gave to the world and indeed us, is
a gift.
It was a gift, and I've not enjoyed the gift or the gift
or the store gift. Well, since Kathy's running it.
And I think that's I just sense like with the Visceral Minutes as well, and just like some online discourse generally, like the aggression from like cricket fans in the UK, and even like their commentators to a lesser extent.
Well, hang on, what about us?
They're just like they've enjoyed this front foot alpha England that perhaps we've never seen before. Certainly not in my lifetime.
Yeah.
They've always been wet beater cucks, but but then
they're wet beater cucks watching some alpha stuff and trying to deal with the tease horse chub of it all.
And I think for Australia, like we see like
what's this chub? I feel I don't know how to use it.
When you see as an Australian, when you see egg and bacon ties, hissing at Australian players, and you see like that guy at the Oval this week, like saying boring to like each Australian, then he gets called out and then he backs down because he shat himself.
Yeah.
When you see like a guy like throw a grape at Ricky Ponting, Australians are fucking crow's feet deluxe, being like, nah, but I know who you are. Like I know that's not really you, except like this new era of under Ben Stokes especially, like the kind of leadership, like everything is happy, everything is good, no backward steps, no regrets, no regrets, like we don't apologize for any mistakes. I will not acknowledge any mistakes exist.
Yeah.
It's completely forward all the time, and I feel like it's just been imbued upon the fans themselves. And like I sort of worry a little bit about what the retaliation is going to be like from Australian fans in a couple of years' time, because I think like I can't recall of seeing like England fans, and obviously led by Piers Morgan online as well. And this is also one of the first series where like it's because it's been so hotly contested, and like Twitter's just the app formerly known as Twitter, X, has really been like so much part of the series. It feels like because 2005. I think Facebook might have existed, but Twitter and Instagram certainly didn't. So, there wasn't sort of that fierce rivalry online, and now, internet literacy was much lower back then, generally speaking. But just like the aggression that I've just felt from England fans, I just worried that like when in a couple of years' time, Australian fans are going to fucking just go ultra hard at that as well, because it gets pretty fucking ugly. I just found like so much of that really embarrassing and grim, generally speaking. But
and we'll find it embarrassing and grim when we do it.
Well, it's a bit different because what you need to understand about that, Pezzer, is we sort of get it.
We'll be boorish and uncouth when we do it.
So, yeah, I guess we'll see what teams come out in a couple of years' time. You know what? For me, it's going to be interesting. But yeah, this new alpha England front foot cricket, what's that going to look like? How are we going to respond to that? I guess we'll find out in a couple of years' time. But in the meantime, very confusing.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was good. It was, I want to get into this beers thing in a second though, just to fucking punish and sabotage ourselves like masochistically, just to throw another one out there.
Should we break that down?
Yeah.
Because someone's lying.
Break it down from, I think, maybe 6 tweets and the headline of a Fox Sports article, which actually makes me gravitate more towards England's side of the side of things. But
okay. I just also seen Malcolm Conn and Broady have also written for The Age and the SMH, so they've reported the same thing.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah.
So tilts it back on both sides of the
I've said,
blue ties, red ties.
Yeah, that's right. No, I've seen the Aussie press referred to by the UK journalists as the usual suspects, or some of the usual suspects are going to say this is what happened. All right, just hold that for a second. So we'll say something nice.
Okay.
Like I enjoyed the contrasting styles of both teams. The shithousery, the deeply rare experience of two nations and the cricket world, like fully immersed in long form cricket, in our little tent, enjoying it at like fully and without, fear or irony. Like everyone was in it, and I think everyone understood there's a certain poignancy to it.
Yeah, people really felt it deeply for sure.
That's right, and it's rare. And I think that although there's like slings and arrows across both like countries, that energy has to be somehow harnessed to like keep more shit like this going. I don't know how. I'm happy to reveal that at our live show, Ricky Ponting suggested that we literally pay all players the same amount of money across different countries. I don't think he understood that is literally socialism, but he could be right, you know. But there's something in the energy of it that means we should continue to try and do shit like this, but with other countries. And like there was chaos, there was order, pleasure and pain of long form cricket. I thought both sides were really tenacious in their own way. Like England have come from 2-0 down to save it. It could have been euphoria for them if it weren't for their own weather.
Right.
You know?
Right.
That's amazing. That's just good. That's fucking good for them to do that. And Australia has won 2 tests away from home when they don't normally win. And both of those games were in and of themselves such sensational games. And we got to be there. We were lucky to be there at Edgbaston and Lords as well, you know? So I think both sides can be pleased with themselves if they want to be.
Yeah.
But it's funny how in our culture we're going to be like, we'll be like, but it could have been better. We could have gone up one more rung. You know, this is capitalism. Can I have more?
I do think that whichever side of the fence or the pond that you're listening to this from, you need to understand is that your viewpoint is right and that you were wronged by the other team in quite nefarious circumstances.
That's the great cricket philosophy, and that's correct.
Yes,
and it's a better way to live. Now let's talk about
It's actually shameful how the opposition to the team you like performed and acted. Beers.
So about the beers. So as far as we understand, all that cuckery from me said. I don't know what that was. As far as we understand from a couple of tweets, so Australia and England historically have a beer after the series.
Yeah,
and there's a photo, and it actually has a soothing effect on everyone who sees it.
I've just remembered that we actually called for a photo.
Yeah,
and we tried to set one up.
Yep. You know, that's we're diminished by this.
Yeah.
By what's happened.
Yeah.
There'll be several YouTube comments now saying, "Oh, boys didn't get the photo right, did they?"
Yeah, yeah.
Where other people knew that would happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, tweets emerging from press, both sides, saying that this is how it's been reported, depending on who you believe. But Australia are in the change rooms, hanging around to have the traditional post-series drink with the English.
Right.
To the point where they, according to some reports, close to the team, whatever, that I would believe it personally, but that's my side of the pond. That they made 6 entreaties,
half a dozen,
6 entreaties to the English dressing room, requesting those beers. It got to the point where Steve Smith poked his head into the change room multiple times, but the England team was not forthcoming. Now, the other side of the story is that with Australia having left after those 6 attempts to have a drink with England, England have said in return that they were simply conducting various presentations upon players' retirements.
As they always do.
And otherwise, and were quite keen for a beer with Australia once those presentations had finished, and were disappointed to learn that Australia had got out early.
Yeah.
Now,
just a simple misunderstanding.
It could just be a simple misunderstanding. I mean, I know when I ask 6 times if you want a beer.
Now, the thing...
Sorry, like, this is what's being put forward. So let's just say, for starters, there's someone's lying.
Yeah.
Let's just say
that's what I was going to say.
So I see 3 options, right?
Okay.
All right. 3 are, like, 1, Australia's telling the truth. They wanted to have a beer with England. England have fucked them off.
Yep.
And England have excused themselves by saying, no, we're doing retirement stuff, but they didn't want the beer.
Yeah.
Right?
As they said a couple of tests ago.
But then after that, they said they would have the test or whatever.
Story changed.
They put it out there at one point. But so they've lied. They've bullshitted and gone, we're doing retirements, but they didn't want to fucking go near the Aussies.
Didn't want to Scooby-Doo.
They didn't want to Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
Then there's the second option where England are earnestly doing these retirements and presentations. They're focusing on their own
and
team.
Stuart.
That's right.
Yeah.
And guys
families in dressing room as well.
Both teams.
Yeah.
And they're unaware of Australia's entreaties.
Didn't know.
Oh, no text messages could have been sent or anything
Music
like that.
playing, knock on the door, can't hear it.
Can't hear it or anything. Steve Smith is lying about popping his head in. And I didn't see it because we're focused on our team.
Yeah.
And then they're like rudely made aware that Australia has left.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the second option.
Yeah.
The third option that's been put forward is that it's all a misunderstanding.
Just a misunderstanding.
Now that is the least likely option ever. Anyone has ever been in a change room, a cricket change room post play, when there is the consideration of will there be a beer with the opposition?
Right.
There is no world where two groups of people where there's 50 of them involved. I'd have to say on both, and
no one spots it.
They are ships in the night. No one sees anyone. They're shit. You've been the Oval a couple of weeks ago. The shits are fucking next to each other.
And it's also 10:30 at night, so everything's lit up.
No, everything's lit up. In the night. The entire 50 have gone.
Yeah. So it's basically like the Titanic's sinking. They should have flared. That passing ship would just go, they're having a good time in there.
Someone pops their head into the Aussie room. They're all gone. They haven't seen anything. Cleaned up. Yeah.
Oi.
I have seen it suggested that it's just all a misunderstanding. Bullshit. So somebody's bullshitting, which then leads you to conclude, surely, that there are more hijinks going on.
More hijinks.
I'm personally disappointed, but that actual personality doesn't belong on this podcast. What belongs on it is the shithousery. So, I believe Australia.
Yeah.
You think Australia is going has lied about popping its head in 6 times?
I just cannot the number was specified as like half dozen or 6, whatever. It's too specific. It's and also
after 6, at some point you're going to be like, these guys don't want to be.
They don't want to be with us. Yeah. So we're just going to.
Do you think Australia? Do you honestly think Australia's like, we have Australia decided we don't want to be with them, but let's make it look like we did.
Yeah.
And so tell a few journos. No, we tried 6 times, but they got the fuck out of there.
Yeah. I wouldn't have thought so.
You reckon that's coming?
What's most likely? It's most likely the team that said they didn't, even though things have changed.
Yeah, and they said
it's most likely.
I would imagine it's the Bazball team completely sucking themselves off.
Yeah, as they have the entire series.
Sucking themselves off. As is their want.
Yes,
but it's a self suck off.
It's a self suck off
for hours. And there is antipathy towards the Australian team.
Yep.
Masters a bit of self-suck-off stuff.
Yep.
We'll have a beer with you when we're ready.
Yeah.
Gents.
Mm-hmm.
And because it wasn't on Australia's watch, there's like, well, pack them. I don't know.
I think that's most likely, Pezza.
Do you think...
For me...
Do you know what's most
likely?
But
I would say that, wouldn't I?
I think England was... happy to have a beer with Australia, but just when England was ready and might have left it long enough to dare Australia to leave. And so the narrative can continue. Like, so England can say, we would have had a beer with you. And I bet half a dozen of them at least are circuiting right now as we record. Just like last time when Joe Root and Travis Head and Alex Carey got in trouble by the police at about 11 a.m. Guys like having beers together.
Yeah.
I'm just sad that we didn't get that shot because I think the shot of the teams together could have, they just could have eased the tension. It was in the air.
Yeah. Well, it still exists. Obviously, tensions were pretty hot. I'm sure you've heard the story about YJB heading in at the old tea room there at Lord's and just absolutely fucking blowing up Deluxe. Hey, that was 3 test matches ago. Lots changed since then. Anyway, it's all a bit fucking grim, isn't it? Just have a beer.
Yeah, beer would have been nice.
What do you want to talk about now? Do you want to talk about like the game or like the series itself? Do you want to talk about like performances or some shit? Or do you want to talk about like did they do it against our boys?
Oh, I think that has to be dealt with because that was the big question. I'd like to see them do it against our boys. And I did like seeing them do it against our boys sometimes.
Yeah, I mean...
That's it, isn't it?
You and I did say consistently for about a year, it's like, yeah, they probably will. But, but then we got everyone on board to say, they won't. But then they did. Yeah. So...
Then we got Logan Roy to say it.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. That was good.
Yeah, how'd you guys get that?
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's right. The answer's boring.
Did we come to an answer there of who fucked it more and why? Or was it just both? I think kind of the answer is both.
I think England fucked it more, which is my compliment to them.
Because England played better.
I think they played better for longer.
England outplayed Australia the last three Test matches. They did more things
to win Test matches. I felt like Australia was a bit smash and grab, which I don't think is. I think it's a completely valid way of winning a game. I thought it was a bit sort of Mourinho low block.
They didn't smash and grab the second game. But
they were ahead.
Yeah, they were ahead.
England were 1 for 180, but like they exploited. They exploited. Like they exploited England's like excesses of baseball.
Right.
And I think England fucked it more, which is not. I don't mean it to sledge them. I actually mean it because I thought they had a better style of cricket to win the series, I think a couple of its, while it was still figuring out its own, like the iteration of baseball or whatever you want to call it, against Australia took full toll of that, which is to Australia's credit. So, I find the whole it's like a paradox with like the whole you bottled it at 2-0 Australia. When people say that, it's sort of revealing they expected Australia to do it from there, but I really wasn't. I thought Australia was doing very well to be 2-0 up.
Yeah, I still felt like Australia had to grab key moments, and then at the end they didn't because England just played better in the end. So I was just thinking about obviously Stuart Broad's retired and announced his retirement the day before the last day. Is that right? Something like that.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking top me head about when Warner McGrath retired from Australia and how big a gap that was for Australia for nearly 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like England won't have that same gap in the side as what Broad has created. Obviously Anderson's still playing, but and the reason I say that is because England always have good bowlers in England. Like for instance, like Ollie Robertson's record in international cricket generally, but especially in England is fantastic. And, Broad's contributions overseas, I actually don't know his record specifically, but I can't think of a time when he's come out to Australia, for instance, and completely dominated. I think he's always outperformed Jimmy Anderson, for instance, against Australia. In fact, his record does suggest that. But, I don't think that England will find this hole because they just will always have good bowlers in England because of what the ball does. And if you find the 4 best quicks in England,
yes,
they're going to be pretty fucking good with a Duke ball. Whereas Australia, because McGrath and Warren, they had such good records away from home as well. And of course, incredible in Australia. That would just be a bigger gap to fill. But undeniably, Stuart Broad in this series just gave us just all the trauma of everything he's ever given me as an Australian fan since he's come into the side and all the memories. He's just added, I feel like he's added 10, 12, 15 memories for an England fan of what he's done this series. Even the way he batted at Lords where he was gutsing out with Ben Stokes at the same time, just even stuff like, the record against Warner, which started in 2019, sort of carried on, particularly Headingley where he got Warner out twice. The round the wicket stuff to left-handers. Obviously, Australia's got 15 left-handers in the side. The shithousery after the Bairstow thing where he was being pantomime villain and he was sliding his bat in extra. He was talking to Alex Carey about you'll always be remembered for that. Adding to the 2013 Ashes where he nicks it off Agar and doesn't walk and then also just adding things like 6 off the last ball, wicket off the last ball, all that kind of not stuff, and then a new thing of flipping the bails around, which I've just never heard of any sort of luck of the Irish, or apparently it's an Australian thing. Never seen it before, never heard about it before. But
he's good, mate,
and he knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing.
But it's just like he just gave both sets of fans everything times 10 of what he's always given, and it's just what a fucking perfect send-off to, I think Ponting described him perfectly as the ultimate Ashes competitor, because his record, I don't know what he averages at 27 something, 28, 26.
Oh, in Test cricket, all round.
Yeah, do you know?
I actually looked this up today, then I forgot. I think it is you're looking at high 20s.
Yeah, okay. So, it's 604 Test wickets is the main marker there. Obviously, lots of people have got less than that average. But
27.6.
27. So, it's good.
I think in his last... Since
the headband.
Since 2020, he's averaged 24.
Yeah.
200 wickets at 24. Good. So he's improved throughout that time. So that's a very, very nice tribute to Stuart Broad. Dom C has written in, he goes
what do they
as
say?
Well. I think this is for balance and it's an information exchange. He actually wrote into our website.
Yeah.
Got a crow's feet for you, he wrote. sections of the English media intimating that they understand the Australian zeitgeist so well that they know that if Stuart Broad was playing for us, he would be our favourite player. No disrespect to a very fine cricketer, but the Australian public typically has very little time for players who come across as the aloof, privately educated type that care a little too much about their appearance. However, maybe I'm giving these parts of the English media too little credit. Maybe what they are really suggesting is that had Stuart Broad endured a childhood in Australia learning to tall poppy everyone around him, learning to suppress any desire to celebrate his own personal success, and learning to be ashamed of his dreams, then he would have been Australia's favourite cricketer. In this case, they might have been on the right track.
Yeah.
But actually, we all know that jaded 29-year-olds would have broken that kid as he came through the ranks, and blokes who bowl medium paces don't make it out of fours. Yeah. Truth is, Aussie Stuart would have been loved by his teammates and a good laugh at cargo most Saturdays, but by now would be working in finance, struggling with intimacy, wishing his dad would call more.
Yeah, relatable content there.
And that's a gag on Australia, really. It's,
Yeah.
I think that is actually
Both things can be true.
a much more accurate kind of assessment of what would have happened if Stuart Broad was Australian.
Yeah. Well, he would have been in a different system. Yeah,
We wouldn't have got a bloke averaging 27.68. Why say that?
Well,
I like him. I'd like to get him on the show.
Yeah, I think we do a good chat.
I think it'd be a good chat.
I think it'd be a good chat.
If you're listening, Broady.
No, I guess we'll never know now. Wokes wins the Miller Compton medal. The Compton Miller medal.
What's doing here? There's a player of the series for both sides?
For both sides.
The fuck's that shit?
But then, so Joe Root got it for England. So Andrew McDonald nominated Joe Root for the England player, and then Stark was nominated by McCullum. But then I've seen that Wokes has been given the Compton Miller medal. So it's 3 different awards.
That was the press did
one. Yeah.
So it's 3 players of the series.
Yeah. This feels all very like participation awards.
Shit?
Yeah. It's a big old no from me.
And then Stokes and Cummins share the LV trophy, whatever the fuck that is.
Why don't they?
And then Australia's got 2 other trophies in front of it. It's got a replica urn that'd have $4.95 at the bottom of it. And then it's got the crystal one,
like a Waterford's crystal.
Waterford's crystal and a bottle of champagne. Cummins didn't even bother touching, as the urn didn't even make it above teeth level.
It was a fucking yellow Glen, wasn't
it? That's right. He just went up. I don't even know if he got his teeth out for the smile. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know what the fuck was going on there. Let's just have a player of the series and who holds the fucking urn.
Yeah.
I'm so tired.
My point was going to be that Wokes played well.
Yeah.
He was good.
It did.
He was good.
I don't like. There's no denying it. I think I saw a quote from Wood saying, "Wokesy and I have won the series 2-0." or something like that. Wokes and I 2-0, and
good.
You know, that was a huge inclusion for England, and what Wokes was just amazing. And it's kind of cool with all the chat about ideology and philosophy that an English seamer just did the business in England.
Absolutely.
That's a reverse kind of safety for me. I recognise that. I don't have to squint my eyes or have to think abstractly. I'm like, oh yeah, I know those shapes, those shapes and patterns, and I know
wouldn't play fours here, but absolute killer.
I know those sounds. Yeah, mate.
Jack the Ripper over there.
Absolutely. Please come in at Adelaide, Brisbane. Do what you got to do. Obviously, you guys will be asleep, so you won't watch it. You won't remember it.
Doesn't matter.
That's all good. But come in England. You know, colour saturation stuff.
Yeah. Runs as well.
Yeah, you're going with it, but we're into the towel. No, we're not.
Mm-hmm.
That's England. So that's cool. But I'm also like, can you be a player of the series when you come in the 3rd test? Like, not his fault. He just came in and he was amazing. Yep. I was like, I mean, what does that mean? What does that mean about selection? I want them.
Sure.
I want a mainstay to get there. And I'm not. It should be him. It should be him. But I just want to.
Well, I actually think in many ways that Mark Wood should be playing the series because he was the one who got the ball changed on day 4 when he hit Khawaja in the head and knocked it out of shape.
You see, because you're like that style of analysis. That's one thing we've come to learn throughout this whole series as well. Is there's a lot of fuckwits on YouTube. of the 8,500 things that happen across a test series, they actually are able to pinpoint the one thing that actually changed
one weird
the
trick.
series.
Yeah.
So no, that's true. Yeah, Wood got the ball changed. That was the one thing that happened.
It was also something that we learnt as well is that if you just if you just see something with your eyes and then you just say a fact, it actually can only be that you are rattled or a rattlesnake because you are basically whinging, complaining, or moaning, if you will. Because that something's gone wrong against your team.
Yes.
You know.
Oh yeah, if you submit a complaint about some thing that happened in the game that you believe is I'm just so afraid to say even unjust or unfair or an incorrectly applied law of the game, you are immediately a whinger. So to be but across Poms and Aussies.
Of course, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Inverted commas. So that's something to bear in mind as well.
Yes. A lot of learnings. I also
learned that also through comments. Sorry, mate.
That's right.
Just saying this off air. I don't think it's necessarily like TGC audience or fans, but we have the privilege. I'm not going to say what I've been saying off air. Don't worry. Sort of want to. No, like we have the rare privilege of, like coming across a lot of different perspectives and viewpoints just as we very narcissistically and sadly troll comments until you realize you can't do it anymore for your own mental health or ill health.
Yes.
And yes. And you realize how many dumb cunts there are in the world. I really don't want to, perhaps that is snobby, and then perhaps it's immature and unsophisticated and all those things may be true.
Right, baby.
But people who are listening, they will know deep down in their loins, it is frightening how many dumb cunts are out there. I don't mean people you disagree with. I just mean the general construction or syntax of a sentence, a perspective, and the confidence that sits underneath. Confidence of ignorance stuff.
Slam dunk stuff.
Oh, you're just getting dunked on. Yeah.
Point scoring online also good one.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like we're just wrapping the series.
Yeah,
just a fact.
Just saying.
That's just something I've observed.
Do you want to talk about anything else in the Ashes, like Australian perspective, or where do you think Cummins should hold his resignation conference?
Silverwater.
Are you thinking orange jumpsuit?
Yeah, well, I mean, in case people feel there's been like too much focus on the English cultural observations. I mean, we just go the other way here. Nothing's good. Nothing's ever good in cricket. You come home with the earn. You actually win a match almost single-handedly at Edgbaston.
Yes.
You didn't. No one thought it would happen.
Yeah.
Change the game with his bowling at the Oval, really, to give Australia a sniff. There's a six for in there at Headingley, I think, losing side, so that's nude. And, you get the World Test Championship in the urn, but it's Silverwater and jumpsuits. And
I've got a genuine question for you. How long do you think this Ashes will live in the memory in terms of spurning things forward for the enjoyment of Test cricket?
What series? I'm a goldfish. Actually, mate, last night we were staying up to catch everything to,
just in case.
And then I saw the the Stokes innings at Lords. On replay.
Yeah. Right.
They were replaying that. And I got so frightened because he's on about 80 or 90. And I'm like, I can't remember how many he got. And I'm like, this is one of the all-time greatings, one of my favourite innings of all time.
Yeah,
and I'm
right.
I don't remember when this ends. And I'm like, that's concerning.
That is concerning.
For all this stuff about, God, it's a good series. We should all do a test in 3 months' time. It's going to be part of a broader sort of, Harvard experiment on the impact of social media on memory.
Absolutely.
But,
well, there's the 100 starting today. There's obviously the 50 over World Cup, and then before you know it, Australia's next test match is in December. And then the next test match played anywhere in the world is in November between, I think it's Bangladesh and New Zealand.
Yeah, cannot wait.
Cannot wait for that one.
Can we talk just briefly about our personal experience, of doing all of this shit?
Not really, mate, no.
No? Cool. Yeah. I didn't want to either. I was just offering it as an opportunity. I think so, yeah.
Major League Cricket. Sorry. Yeah, let's do it.
Well, I got to go to the UK.
Yeah, that was nice.
Got to do some live shows.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool.
Yep.
For more people than ever.
Yep.
Crow's Feet was given life.
Yeah, some people liked it.
Turned up in the Guardian match report, Day's observations.
Yes, a couple times.
A couple times.
Yeah.
Various journalists and friends of the show. We'll always have Edge Baston.
Yes, we will.
We'll always have, Isha Guat saying she can't wait to see and hear our pieces.
Yeah, for the BBC. Yeah,
For the
that's
BBC.
right. That's right.
So that was a cool interview.
That was cool. Yeah. TMS. Yeah.
Always have doing a show in a chapel, and saying I always thought Jesus Christ was signalling wide in a chapel.
And that Hitler was just signalling buys.
We'll always have Glenn Maxwell answering 75% of his questions in a Justin Langer accent.
We did have some good times.
We'll always have that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's hope it's not 4 years before we go back again, though. Of course, I guess it'll be when it'll be. But it was of course like really special for us personally, just two idiots from the internet, to get to experience what a wonderful series it was, especially the beginning part where it was good for our team. But just to see the faces again, see our friends who come onto the show, you actually see them in real
Got to go
life.
in the shower with Phil Salt.
Yeah, no. I mean, all of it was just wonderful. Then just coming home and then just being on UK time zone and basically not sleeping for the last 3-4 weeks, and then just going all the way with it, and also just having the support of the audience as well. I've found so many more people have discovered us through YouTube or the BBC or maybe live shows or whatever. So that's been really cool for us as well. And that's just always exciting, and just to share our experience with the cricket with more people is just a genuinely cool thing. But to everyone who came to the live shows especially, that was really, really special for us in Manchester, Leeds, London and Birmingham, of course. Just really treasured memories, and to share that with you as well was we've had an amazing year where we obviously toured Australia once again. We went to India and now been to the UK, so it's been fucking whirlwind, but and not just whirlwind, it's been fucking whirlwind.
That's true. Yeah, what sort of whirlwind?
But at the same time, none of it matters, and I don't really remember much of it. So
absolutely,
2.92 fuck off FM.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good.
Well, to that end, listen to this. Let's talk about West Indies and India, who are so West Indies drew the second Test match. I want to say, and I will be saying that that was in Port of Spain, which was where we left last time on this show. Now they're in a 3 ODI test. What am I talking about? They're in a 3 ODI series at the moment, of 2 of which have been played. Then they go and play 5 T20s. As I mentioned before on a previous week's show, they're playing the last 2 games at Lauderhill, which is in the States. But those are the T20s which start next week. So in the first ODI, India won the game by 5 wickets, but then finally the West Indies have won an ODI. Of course, they're not qualifying for the ODI World Cup in India later this year, which is a great shame for West Indies cricket, but also world cricket, I feel like, because they bring so much. But they lost games in that tournament for the World Cup qualifiers to Zimbabwe, to Netherlands, and to... who else they lose to? Was it Scotland? Someone else. A significant run of lack of form is not good language, but I'm going to go with it anyway. But they've won the second ODI against India in Bridgetown. India batted first and made 181 all out off 40 overs. And then the West Indies chased them down in 36 overs, thanks to Shai Hope, who's skippering with 63. And that is going to lead me into Major League Cricket, Pez, if I will. Because I know people are absolutely desperate to talk about bilateral ODI series. But the reason I want to talk about Major League Cricket is because they've already played the final of Major League Cricket. It's only a 2-week tournament. And it was MI New York against Seattle Orcas. Seattle Orcas batted first, made 183 for 9, thanks to Quinton de Kock's 87 up the top for Seattle. And then MI New York chased it down in 16 overs. So Stephen Taylor opened the batting 0. Cheyenne Jangho 10. Dewal Brevis 20. Tim David 10. Nicholas Purin 137 off 55 with 10 fours and 13 sixes, hitting him at 249.
Friend of the show, Nicky P.
Nicky P. Obviously West Indian great, who actually was captaining the West Indies during the World Cup qualifiers, unfortunately for him. But yeah, just a fucking insane innings there at the end of Major League Cricket Season 1, which you'd imagine is only going to get bigger. There's also talk about the 100 and the how much longer that's got left, given Major League Cricket already bumping up against it. And to that end, MI New York obviously had Rashid Khan playing for them, who took 3 for 9 in the final against Seattle Orcas. He was supposed to then leave that night to go and play for the Trent Rockets in the 100. He had a 3-game stint locked in for the 100 side. He has since pulled out with an injury, which is not specified just yet, but he will now not be playing in the 100. For the women, from an Australian perspective, Elisa Healy and Elise Perry have also pulled out of their teams in the women's 100. So not ideal for the 100, which, as I said earlier, starts today. But there you go. There's some other cricket happening in the world right now. What do you want to go with there? Just non-stop MLC? You really enjoyed it?
Mate, I think that you covered that fantastically.
Thanks.
These are facts of things that happen, and we have the rest of our lives to cover it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. All right, before we get into hashtag AskTGC, we need to thank our dear friends Budgy Smuggler. Budgy Smuggler have been supporting TGC throughout the Ashes. It's budgysmuggler.com or budgysmuggler.com.au. Budgy Smuggler is searching for the final 4 contestants to compete in the final of the World's Most Ordinary Rig, which is held in Australia this November. Here's how you enter if you want to do that. Also, you can go to Budgy Smuggler's Instagram page. If you've used the internet before, you know how to find Budgy Smuggler on Instagram. All you got to do is post a picture of yourself or a mate in Smugglers at peak ordinariness. Then you use the hashtag World's Most Ordinary Rig, and then you at or tag Budgy Smuggler or Budgy Smuggler UK or Budgy Smuggler France. The final 10 will win a trip to Sydney, in Australia, of course, with a mate. The World's Most Ordinary Rig winner wins 10K Aussie cash, a 12-month Budgy Smuggler modelling contract, and the title of World's Most Ordinary Rig. That's how you do it. You post a picture of you or a mate in Smugglers. You use the hashtags there, and then that's how you enter. It's as simple as that. budgysmuggler.com. Go and find them on Instagram and social media, generally speaking, right now. Got to thank Budgy Smuggler. This is the last podcast we'll be doing for, I guess, until maybe the World Cup starts later this year, right?
Yeah, we'll pick it up just before then, but yes, it'll be a couple months.
So Budgy Smuggler have got back on board with us. Obviously, they've been long-time partners of ours, and then they got back on board with us for the beginning of the Ashes. So it's now been, it was actually before the World Test Championship. Is that right? Do we have them for the World Test Championship as well? So it's been about 2 months, basically.
We were cricket.com for World Test Championship. But yeah, just before it was a test match. It was at the Oval.
Yeah, that was a test match.
Yeah.
It was actually the ultimate test.
Yeah, what format was that game? Now, yeah. We just, from the bottom of our hearts, cannot thank Budgy Smuggler enough for their support during these Ashes series. Really hope that the audience understands, our love for Budgy Smuggler and our admiration for them as a business. And Linny, Adam Linforth, the CEO, has just been, I actually don't think there's been anybody more materially instrumental in TGC's or like our opportunity to develop what we're doing right from the very start. He's jumped back on board for the Ashes, but really from the start of TGC as something where there might be some bunts involved to keep it going. Linny has really been the driving force, and to jump back on when he did. COVID was hard for a couple of years for all of us. You can't imagine that many people were buying swimwear at the time. To jump back on when he did to support us, to bring everyone here our Ashes coverage, which people have been so complimentary of and been so kind about, he deserves a huge amount of credit, and the best way that credit can be, paid forward is for people to, get around Budgy Smuggler when it comes to purchasing their swimwear or any apparel for that matter, or if you are somewhat of an exhibitionist and in turn have an ordinary rig to get involved in the World's Most Ordinary Rig parade and contest, because I've been there a couple of times, both with an ordinary rig, but also just to the event, and it's a really more than a couple of times with a rig, and it's a hell of an occasion. So get around it. Massive thanks to Budgy Smuggler. Anyone who is a fan of TGC is by extension a fan of Budgy, a great Australian brand who have been just so supportive of us. So big tip of the cap to Lenny. And this actually is a Budgy cap saying Je suis ordinaire.
Indeed
I am. And I have been on this show in particular.
We also, before we get into hashtag ASKTGC, need to talk about Shane Watson winning the inner battle. And that's also come in from a comment from, let's call him Piers M.
Yeah.
Who's written them before at hashtag ASKTGC.
Well, I know. I mean, look, only the most notorious online entities get behind,
That's right.
winning the inner battle. I know the Watson family are very enterprising people that they are, in all seriousness. Lee and Shane there, obviously, when they were sitting down and figuring out their marketing plan for winning the inner battle, obviously said, well, TGC, of course, just to get it in front of the audience. The other one is to go to his Piers Morgan. Yeah. So Piers Morgan tweeted, I'm going to say 2 weeks ago, and he just wrote, parking Ashes-related partisanship for a moment to promote a brilliant new book by Aussie legend Shane Watson, a great insight into the elite mentality needed to win at top-level sport and life by one of cricket's toughest competitors. Order here. Now, I don't know how powerful you have to be to compel Piers Morgan to park Ashes partisanship.
Yeah.
But I am very afraid of Watto now. Yeah. Probably more afraid than I originally was. And that was quite a lot, to be honest. Just when you see the rig on it and stuff, he would never go to the ordinary rig, ever, Watto. But whatever strings he's pulling or whatever kind of power he has now, I don't know if it's Dhoni stuff or whatever, but to essentially persuade or compel Piers Morgan to park Ashes partisanship to promote the book, that says to me that is a powerful fucking book.
That's a powerful book. It's a powerful man.
Yeah, powerful book by a powerful man.
Powerful front dog.
In all seriousness, if you're getting ready for this cricketing summer, and I know a lot of you out there are in Australia, if you're in England, it's over for you. The summer's done, believe me, in terms of what you can achieve.
I'm back on board now.
But I know a lot of you will be getting ready for a cricketing summer in Australia, and you may be sort of thinking, I might have a look at this sort of baseball style cricket or whatever. But either way, whatever you want to do, however you want to play it.
Unlock me mind.
I know no one will say it out loud or maybe even to themselves, but I'm speaking to the great deep subconscious or unconscious of those people out there who are like, I would like to play my best ever cricket this summer. I know there are people out there like that.
Well, every single person will be. They'll say, this is my summer.
This is my summer.
I'm not going to change anything.
Exactly.
But we're giving them the opportunity to change something.
If you're sitting there thinking, I'm going to do exactly the same things I've always done, I'm going to do it as somebody 1 year older, under more pressure, cost of living crisis, while my body ages and creaks and I deal with a latent alcohol issue.
But my output will increase.
My output will increase because I just wanted to.
Yeah.
Understand that.
Just cause. Let us.
Play. Understand that before you hear, we are speaking about the easiest and most effective resource to actually play better cricket. I've read it. It's good. What I was literally talking to in this book about how he went from being like a tense, pressurized international player who could not get the most out of himself to the complete opposite. I mean, look, he was still able to score test hundreds even though he wasn't getting the most out of himself. We get it, Watto. Good player.
We get it. Stand at one, couple of poles.
Yeah, that's right. Captain, 3 formats.
Couple of IPLs in the bank.
We're at that level with him. But he's just sharing his knowledge now of how you actually can free yourself up and get the most out of yourself. And it's things like, if you're someone who tries to throw the ball over the bails and you just, all you are is yips. You're Yip City.
Because all you can hear in your head is don't throw it at his feet, don't throw it at his feet, don't throw it at his feet. Oh, damn it, I threw it at his feet.
Exactly. This is the book for you, and that is basically all of us in cricket. Like, play with freedom. ShaneWatson.au for winning the inner battle across party lines. Piers Morgan even thinks it's good. Wow.
Hashtag AskTGC. Do you want to do it?
Yeah, I'll do it once I pull it up here.
It's from Anon.
It's from Anon. Okay, yeah, great. Thank you. Thanks. Dear Ian and Sam, I write to provide a review of the latest threat to the reputation of the washed-up, forced into retirement village cricketer, Sixers. Okay, that's inverted commas, Sixers. For the benefit of non-English listeners, Sixers, inverted commas, social cricket is a relatively new entertainment venue sweeping the UK. Okay, we're about to do ourselves out of a sponsorship with these people. I haven't read this. Punters are offered the chance to partake in a 30-minute net against a virtual reality bowling machine from around 6 yards, whilst their mates gather outside, pint in hand, to presumably offer some encouraging words of support. To score runs, shots must generally be hit within the V, with demarcated 2, 3, 4 and 6 zones, the latter being above the bowler's head. The website for Sixers even describes the experience as the age-old game of cricket reimagined into an easily digestible and fun format. Oh, if only it were that simple. Having once again taken the bait that cricket can ever be fun, I confidently booked a half-hour net at Sixers for me and my girlfriend one fateful night after work. These are double-spaced sentences too, wow. Having been provided a brief health and safety overview by the dead-eyed barman, my girlfriend, we'll call her Stacey. Why do I think that's a sex doll now? This is the way he puts it in inverted commas. Anyway, we'll call her Stacey, tapped the crease with a straight-elbowed hammering motion that only a true novice could offer. However, to my slight surprise, I found that she had struck a more than respectable 10 off the first over of some regulation leg spin. Beginner's luck, I side-mouthed to myself as we swapped places and I took my place at the crease. Having messed around attempting some reverse sweeps, I found myself 7 for 1 off my first over.
Oh, God.
Time to put the sweeps away and play some proper shots, I reassured myself. Around 25 minutes later, Stacey finds herself on 98 for 1, with me languishing behind on around 70-odd for 4.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Despite me playing on level 4, dubbed the professional level, and Stacey on level 3, club level, I can no longer kid myself that this is an embarrassment of seismic proportions. I can only watch on in horror as Stacey slaps a 45-mile-per-hour half-tracker back behind the bowler's head into the 6 zone, excitedly exclaiming that she has brought up her 100, a feat that has eluded me my entire adult and indeed junior life. At this point, the red mist descends and I instinctively position myself at short leg, the entrance to the net, ready to pounce upon every swing and miss Stacey offers. Didn't pick that one, did ya? I find myself snidely remarking as my girlfriend, who has barely picked up a bat in her life, fails to read a 50-mile-per-hour googly from 6 yards. At the end of her over and watching the seconds tick down on our remaining net time, I swing open the door to the net and beckon Stacey out. If ever there was a time to summon a Herculean Stokes-like effort to make up the 30-run deficit in 1 over, now is the time. However, my frustration is tangible, even to the uninitiated Stacey, as the bowling machine offers me wide Yorkers followed by slower ball outswingers that drift harmlessly outside my outside edge. A wicket maiden later, knowing I'm defeated, I down the dregs of my pint and head to the door. However, clearly taking pity upon me, the dead-eyed employee comes to my aid and offers us a free 15-minute top-up session. For reasons still unknown to me, I grasp at the opportunity and cajole Stacey back to the crease. Stacey, however, sees this as a chance to tee off, taking the generic-looking right-armed medium pacer down for another 12 off her first 3 balls. Needless to say, the free session did me no favours. As we head home, Stacey offers me some advice. It's simple, really. You just have to watch the ball and hit it at the right time.
Very simple, Chalk.
There are no questions to end this email, only the realisation that since hanging up the gloves at 15, I've continued to kid myself that I was at least a better than average cricketer who could flip the switch and smoothly adapt back to a life in the game at any point I choose. Stacey's conclusion that the skill of batting, which I believe to be a multifaceted mystery requiring years of hard graft to refine, can in fact be boiled down to watch the ball and hit it. Leaves me questioning every fibre of my being. If this dangerous belief that cricket is a simple fun game continues to gain traction among the masses, a Sixers global expansion into future Australasian and South Asian markets seems inevitable, the latter presumably leading to a nightmarish vision of Dream 11 Sixers venues replacing the Maidans of Mumbai. Nightmarish. In this post-apocalyptic world, I can only encourage my Southern Hemisphere comrades to heed this warning, find any possible excuse not to attend Sixers and risk the same humiliation I endured. Yours in defeat and shame, Anon. Good.
This ASKTGC is not brought to you by Sixers. Yeah, tricky one there because, basically Stacey's baseballed him.
Yeah.
Just really whittled it down to
She's red winning the inner battle.
Indeed. Just the pure basics of the sport.
Yeah.
See ball, hit ball. Look at the fucker, hit the fucker.
Exactly. It's like the beauty of uninhibited children, you know? Like they just have a beauty to the way they think and the way they haven't been like weighted down, beaten down
Corrupted.
by the harshness of life and all the like intangible expectations that are put upon you. Stacey's just picked up the bat first time and she just has the freedom of someone who's never been pained by cricket. And
She's not worried about a trigger movement, a front foot press,
all
her
of that
front
sort of
elbow.
stuff. Yeah.
She's just holding the bat probably very wide apart, like an axe.
Yep.
Stepping the ball, just stepping into it, just seeing it, giving it a whack. She's at club level. She scored 100. First go. Couple of pints in. Day out.
I know this story is true. I know this story is true because of the language. I see it and I hit it at the right time. So she doesn't actually have the language of timing.
Yes.
You know, like some other codified word that cricket has created. I hit it at the right time. Like she's basically watched it and figured out that's actually what you've got to do. It's all about timing. And immediately she's better than her boyfriend who
identifies as the cricketer.
And he's much the worse from that. I know it's only semi-related. This morning, I sometimes try and pump my children up about the cricket that's going on. They just do not give a fuck. Like they like to play and just hit it, right? But my eldest woke up this morning at about 5 a.m. to go and use the bathroom, and I said, Ted, guess what? He's like, what? Trying to go back to bed. I'm like, Australia lost, and he goes, I didn't ask you about it, and walked back to bed. It was the dead of the night. I put my arms around him thinking I'm like trying to force some bond with him. And he just absolutely fucking crippled me. Like, I didn't ask about it. What's it go to bed?
Isn't that another another new level of pain for cricket? It's like I'm trying to bring community around it in my family, you know? And then it's like, I don't like this and I never will.
So innocent.
That's your thing, Dad.
He was not delivering it to dunk on me in any way. He's just telling me
better.
He was crow's feeding me.
Yeah. Well, he's out now and he got 40.
That I raised it. He's just done a wee and he's trying to get back to bed. It's cold in Melbourne. I've got like the hook of an umbrella going, come back here and let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Dad.
Now, if you've ever been on a date at like a holy moly or that equivalent, like a little
I went on a date with Tori at a ball machine. It wasn't really a date. I was just preparing for the game against Manly the next day. But
yeah, just getting some throws.
It kind of was. I hit it through. I still remember hitting one through the net, and it just missed her head.
Yeah, I know. I remember. Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
That could have changed things.
It really changed things.
Yeah, good shot though.
Didn't even get it. But like
those jugs balls really ping off the bat.
They really do.
Yeah.
They really, well, if you
you know, you got to hit it at the right time.
Hit the right time.
37 red the next day. Manly Oval.
Thank you to everyone that has got behind TGC in whatever capacity. They've left a comment, they've shot a like, they've subscribed, they've joined up to the Patreon, they've left a like or a comment on Instagram or Facebook or the other ones or an X.
What a project.
TikTok. This has been one of the biggest 6, 7, 8 weeks, I suppose, for Pez and I running this, and it's been amazing.
Two people.
And not possible without your guys' support. So thank you so much for everything. We're just going to take a little bit of a break. I'm going to Japan on Friday.
And I'm going to Bright.
Exactly. It's going to be a race for Instagram likes because that's all that matters.
Mate, I'm offline.
Yeah, that's good.
So I tell myself.
But as we said earlier, Patreon will roll on forever. Every single Friday. Hashtag AskTGC Fridays. That's where we've got the community going there to answer your questions about life, generally speaking, and what to do on dates and how to behave in these kind of circumstances.
Looser, darker, Ben Roarer.
Perfect. See you guys on the internet real soon. Cheers.